Hello, this is Delusional-Lobo here. I hope you guys are doing swell today. For today, I have a discussion. A bit of a controversial topic that some players are not gonna like, or may even, have their own opinions no matter of what I'm saying. And that is that the new DLC character that's been announced, Clive Rosfield, is coming out soon. And the Tekken community, especially the veteran players that have been playing since Tekken 1 and so forth, are up in arms. And the reason why is that Rosfield is very flashy as fuck. This is a character that practically makes Noctis look very tame in comparison. Any DLC character that you have seen before in Tekken doesn't even compare to how flashy Clive looks. And that's the truth of it. He is way over the top, way anime-like, does not fit in the game whatsoever with his attacks and abilities. He feels like he should fit in Soul Calibur more so than Tekken, which is sad because Soul Calibur 6 is practically dead, and there's probably never going to be a Soul Calibur 7, but, a guy can dream. But yeah, Clive does not fit in Tekken. Truly doesn't really fit, which makes sense, because he's a guest character. What makes you think that a guest character has to be a character that's grounded, and this is what I'm going to say here, quote unquote, traditional martial arts? Because that's one of the biggest topics that I'm seeing a lot on Twitter or on YouTube, that the character does not fit the traditional means of Tekken, which makes no sense. And the reason why it doesn't make any sense to me, because Tekken to me never was a traditional martial arts game. It never felt that way to me. Ever since Tekken 3, which was my first Tekken game, it never felt like a traditional martial arts game. It felt just like a fantasy game, because who the hell does hell sweeps that can flip, that can turn you around? Like if you're doing, what's it called? QCB light kicks and medium kicks, like in Street Fighter. I forget what it's called, Tatsu? The spin kick. It's like you're doing that essentially with the Mishimas. And Jin used to be able to do that for free. Like it wasn't like during the time that he can become double Jin. No, it's like even in Tekken 3, he can do it as the regular Jin at the time. In what universe can you actually say that that's realistic? Hell, when you look at like actual like frame by frame of Kazuya doing Hell Sweep, he's breaking his spine when he's doing it. Same thing with Heihachi and Reina. No, actually, Reina not so much, I think. But in the case of like Heihachi and Kazuya and Devil Jin, they're breaking their spines doing it. It does not make any it doesn't make any sense. But people want to say that the game is grounded in traditional martial arts because the characters in the game, they practice in them, like boxing, like Muay Thai, right? Karate. So because they see that characters are utilizing these particular types of martial arts, the game should be a grounded, realistic martial arts game, which is not. It's never been that way. It has martial arts in it that are realistic martial arts that we know, but interactively, the mechanically of the game, that's not happening. You're not seeing, let's say, Horang doing a skyrocket kick, and somehow all that does is knock back the enemy or knocks down the enemy. Right? No, that's not happening. Instead, it's launching them 20 feet up in the air. Try to make any sense to that's supposed to be a traditional martial arts interaction. It's not. This is not Virtua Fighter. And hell, even Virtua Fighter has those moments too that comes out as a little bit unrealistic. But it tries to be very realistic as possible. And that's the one thing that makes Virtua Fighter a actual traditional martial arts game. This game was never like that. Hell, when you play Tekken 1 or Tekken 2, the game still had its bullshit. It still had its like quirky characters like Yoshimitsu, Kunimitsu, the Jack, and so forth. And the fact that you can juggle opponents up in the air and all that shit, like even if you were considered like in the case of Tekken 6, in Tag Tournament 2, or Tekken 7, and now with Tekken 8, how juggling works in the game, how combos work in the game, a lot of OG players would say that this is not Tekken. But if you look back to even Tekken 1, Tekken 2, Tekken 3, combos were like that since the beginning. The only difference is that now we have easier means of applying combos. But back in the day in Tekken 5, if you want to do a cool looking combo that juggled the enemy in the air, you had to do a micro dash into a jab. And you gotta do it accurately if you want to land your combos. But all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, this game is a traditional martial arts game. They're destroying that aspect of the game. They're adding all this anime bullshit. Bro, it's always been anime with how ridiculous some of the attacks interacts with you. It makes no sense. Especially when you consider the story of the game. Even the protagonist, Kazuya, who was the protagonist before, turns into a devil, and then Jin as well. Then you have Ogre. Then you have True Ogre. Then you have Jinpachi. Then you have Raven, that is the ninja that can teleport. Same thing with Yoshimitsu and Kunimitsu. Then you have, androids, robots, cyborgs. The list goes on. Where is the traditional martial arts that people are talking about in Tekken? I'm not seeing it. So why are we trying to get this mixed up that the game is being over the top? It's always been over the top. It's just that in Tekken 8, they're just going leaps and bounds over the top. I don't think that Clive doesn't fit in the sense of gameplay wise. Yeah, setting wise, in terms of the story, in terms of the world of Tekken, yes, he does not fit in it at all. It doesn't make any sense. But gameplay wise, he can definitely fit in. You just have to tone him down. That's it. But again, that is my bias here. In fact, I wouldn't have cared if it was Clive or Tifa. If it was Tifa, who is actually more of a martial artist than anything, hand-to-hand combat pugilist character, I wouldn't have minded. But what makes you think that she's not going to use magic as well? That she's not going to incorporate bullshit like magic and shit like that in her gameplay? Anime shit. I would 100% see that happening. And people will still complain. But a lot of the gooners, a lot of the Kumers would have been happy with Tifa being in the game. That's for sure. And it's not like her combat isn't, bad or anything like that, to be honest. I've seen gameplay of Tifa in Rebirth and Remake. No, actually, it's a Rebirth or Remake. I don't even remember which one. And I saw it, and I'm like, man, this character looks really awesome. It's like a mixture of Taekwondo and Bachi Kwan and shit like that. It's like a mixture of a lot of other martial arts mixed in. But she does a lot of kicking than she does punching. That's one thing. So I would have liked her in the game as well. Hell, any other, favorite franchise, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, bringing another Street Fighter character in the game, Fatal Fury, KOF, Killer Instinct, who knows? That would have been fine. But seeing that players are so up their ass at times, because with Tekken 7, Akuma was well hated during the time that players figured out that he's very busted and not as weak as they thought he was. Right? They didn't like the idea that he can throw Hadoukens, even though all you can do to beat it is simply sidestep it or sidewalk it, and you beat it immediately. But they didn't like the fact that they had to play neutral. So that's really their problem, to be honest. The biggest issue with Akuma was his damage and his combo structure. That's what's the issue with him, and his resources. That was not with other characters. The other characters didn't have the resource that Akuma has. He was unique by himself, alongside Eliza at the time. Then they add Geese, who's also another strong character as well. You can even say he was a little bit easier than Akuma, more efficient, more consistent than Akuma. But Akuma was still out there. He was still one of the strongest characters in the game. But he wasn't the easiest to pick up either. Neither was Geese. So the problem is that a lot of influencers and a lot of professional players get into their heads that, okay, this character's too busted, it's blah, 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 blah. They talk about it, and then now the casual audience and then the intermediate audience, they hear that and they think, this is bullshit. And then when they come across those characters online, they feel, man, I lost this character because it's a bullshit character, it's too strong. I kid you not. I got hit a lot by, I think it was Down Back 4 from Akuma, and that pissed me the fuck off. But that's because I didn't have the reaction that I have now. I built it up more and more so. If I go back to Tekken 7, I probably have a better chance against Akuma. But now, since Akuma's not in the game, then there's nothing you can do about it now. In fact, I would like a Street Fighter character to come into the game again. Or even a KOF character, or a Fatal Fury character. I wouldn't have minded. Because it would be a cool, aspect of adding a character from a different franchise. But people just want to, give this impression that the game is a traditional martial arts game. So let's bring that character in instead. Let's try to bring more realism to the game instead of bringing the fantasy tropes. Which if they did, that would have been fine. But with the heat system in the game, what makes you think they were not going to have some kind of bullshit fantasy thing into their gameplay? You guys are asking for too much. You might as well just be asking that they just bring a remake version of Tekken 5. That way you guys can be happy. So yes, I think that a lot of players are exaggerating too much. You don't have to go out of your way and uninstall the game, because I've heard a lot of people saying that. Just because Clive has come to the game. They can't handle his bullshit. Hasn't even come out yet. Don't even bother to learn either. I feel like it's just a little bit, again, people are just up in arms and they just need to chill, right? They need to chill and then they need to just simply just wait it out. The character comes out, learn the matchup. For those like me, I can't even play the character until the 20th. So I'll have to learn the matchup for the first, 3 days of him being out. And I like to see exactly what the players are going to figure out during those 3 days so I can steal it. But yeah, that's the overall point. The game isn't exactly a traditional martial arts game. If anything, Virtua Fighter is that game. It never was a game that tries to be as realistic as possible with its gameplay. It never was. The story of the game is also over the top as well, especially now in Tekken 8. But if you wanted a more traditional martial arts character, I can understand that. I can agree with you that it would have been, better for a more traditional character. I would have liked to see Armor King instead of Clive, or Murdoch, or Fukuram, but we didn't get that. But I am still happy with the idea of Clive being in the game. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I just want to give my 2 piece on the matter of what's going on with the whole, Clive situation. And yes, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not really trying to make an argument here or anything. And you guys may want to argue with me under the comment section if you want. Just try to keep it civil, I have my opinions, you have your opinions. And yeah, that's about it. If I sounded like I was being a little bit too rude, I apologize. I wasn't trying to. Just that I tend to be very passionate with what I'm saying. So if I said anything that may come off as rude or unprofessional, I apologize. I'm just trying my best to sound out what I want to say, air out my thoughts of the matter. So yeah, that's about all. If you guys like the video, give the video a like, and if not, dislike it if you want to. Subscribe to see more of my shit, and yeah, stay tuned, stay safe. Salute to all my fallen soldiers. I reminisce